This is Houston Texans Today. I am Tom Down. Let's get to some more, this time draft and trade rumors around the Houston Texans. Focused in on one Bryce Young. A recent NFL.com mock draft had the Texans trading up, to the #1 overall pick. Oh, that's an option there, to acquire Bryce Young. Young is undersized, both height and just pure body mass. I mean, you can see how skinny he is in this photo right here. He is very undersized. He's a size outlier in a draft class full of them that is unusual for the quarterback spot. Now, come combine time, he'll add some water weight and probably weighing closer to 200 pounds, but there was a claim that Young was playing as low as, or arrived at Alabama in the 160s. That is profoundly skinny. Of course, it's all worth mentioning that Houston could have had the #1 overall pick to take whatever quarterback they wanted, Bryce Young or otherwise, had they not won in Week 18. Probably not going to be as bad as the Jets missing on the #1 overall pick and getting Zach Wilson instead of Trevor Lawrence, but, the point still remains. So this was the NFL.com trade idea, and it's expensive. The Bears moved down one spot in exchange for pick #1 and a 2023 fifth to balance the trade value, which, sure, but it's not that much of a difference there. Bears get a third-round pick and the first-round pick from the Cleveland Browns, the Texans own in 2024. So when you factor in the adjusted, more modernized trade value chart, that first-round pick is valued roughly as a late first. If we're making it even, which I think that Browns pick is worth a little bit more than a late first. It's a future one that's always devalued, but I don't think we'd be that shocked that was the 15th or maybe even the top 10 pick, kind of the same range as it was this past year. So that is a significant amount of draft capital to give up, to move down one spot. Now, remember this part too. You're not so much trying to win the trade with the Bears. You're trying to win a potential trade over a team like the Colts, over a team like the Raiders, Panthers, whatever, so that they don't jump you and take your guy. And if you fall in love with one particular prospect at quarterback, it's typically worth it to go get him. You just got to make sure you're right on the quarterback prospect. Now, Bryce Young's not the only candidate here, but what QB will the Texans end up drafting? Let me know in the comment section. I think they're taking a quarterback. I know not everyone agrees, but I'd be shocked if they didn't, barring a sudden acquisition of a big-time name. What QB will the Texans take in round 1 of this year's draft? Really 4 viable answers here. We'll go more in depth on Bryce Young since the video's on him. CJ Stroud really helped himself against Georgia. Very accurate, but I don't think he has a cannon for an arm, and there are still some questions about how consistently he can win outside of structure. Did it against Georgia. Not very much beyond that. Will Levis is your more prototypical quarterback prospect with the size and the arm strength and the mobility, but he was just not good this year at Kentucky. Injuries, new scheme, talent, all a factor, but you want your potential #1 overall pick or #2 overall pick to rise above that, right? Anthony Richardson has immense upside. I think he's got a higher ceiling than anyone in this class, but also probably the lowest floor because his technique is a bit of a mess, his mechanics are, and frankly, you can't complete 54% of your passes in college. That's a massive red flag for me. The Bryce Young concern is just the size. There's a lot of good creative playmaking, oftentimes out of structure because that Alabama offensive line is not nearly what people are accustomed to. Great production for Bryce Young at Alabama over not just this year, but 2021 as well. If you are in love with Bryce Young despite the size, it makes sense to go get him. Giving up that much capital for one spot, I should say, would bring some concern for Texans fans. It's very simple here at Chat Sports. The more subscribers a channel has, the more videos they end up getting. So if you want more Texans videos, and in the race to build the newest team channel, Houston is in the lead. Thank you guys so much so far, but we're not done yet. Hit that subscribe button right now.